Radio check.
Let's do it, baby. Let's do it.
You're now tuned in.
Let's go
to CONVO-19.
Turn it up
with Keith Austin and Georgie Sippin' 40.
What up, what up, what up, what up? How's it going?
Doing good, you?
Good.
My son.
Yeah. Been a long time since I heard that. All right, let's get it started correctly. You know, it's Keith Austin, got Georgie 740, it's CONVO-19. Today we are joined with the Instigator, Mr. 423 himself. How's it going, man?
Doing incredible. Incredible. Thanks for inviting me onto y'all's podcast. I didn't even know you had one.
Shit, you kind of invited yourself.
I know. I did, really. I'm always there for the back.
The old heads always reaching out to the young bucks for that little push that they need.
Oh, okay.
The pusher's on his head, man.
I like that.
All right, man, before we go too far into your story, because that's one thing we're kind of been doing lately is bring people on and talk about themselves. Now, what are you doing right now? Exactly. Introduce yourself and then talk about what you're working on at the moment.
For those that don't know, most people know me as just Steve, but my stage name is Instigator. I'm working on a project with Lil White right now that is almost finished. We're dropping October 1st called Croptober. And then we got some follow-up stuff that I have with Haystack, and then trying to release my solo all before the end of the year.
Okay. That's what's up.
Yeah.
So coming up, you're from Saudi Daisy, Tennessee. We're from Sequatchie. We're from Dunlap, right across the mountain. At what point does a young Instigator say, I want to take this venture in the music game?
Well, my first experience was in high school, and I rapped in front of the entire school, did my own rap. And then, got into it, doing a couple songs at some studios. Back then it was real expensive because, you had to pretty much pay for an hour, which was like $50 an hour. Then you had to have someone mix it. So every song you're in about $300 easy. Jeez. Without even trying. And then, so pretty much that's how I got started. A rock band that I knew from high school couldn't afford their studio time. So they asked me if I wanted to half it with them. And I was like, yeah, I'll come in and do something, and dropped this song called From Saudi Daisy Back to Chat with a guy I used to play basketball with. And that's how everything really got started more professionally, because people asked to buy the CD, and kept, the little Sharpie printed CDs we made. Pretty much would sell them for $10 and people would buy it, and all it had was that one song on it. And from there, that's when I started taking it serious and never looked back. That was like 2003.
Where was the studio y'all were going to at the time?
Right off of Highway 58. It was called DigiSound, which it's not open anymore. It was mainly for rock, but
Who ran it?
I can't think of the old man's name, which is pretty bad. I should remember that, but I can't think.
Was it good quality at the time?
Well, at the time, I thought it was the best quality in the world because I never recorded a song. But now looking back on it, you listen to it, you're like, this is trash. But
So as you venture on, you start making connections. What was your first tape or demo or something that just stood out that you were like, yeah, this is where it's going to happen?
Well, when the first project I released that I was proud of, we did a lot of graphics for. I actually did it as a group project, but everyone fell off from the group. And all that was left is, you may know him as Trigger, Tennessee. I think he's going back by Trigger now. But
is that from the Trailer Park to the Hood or whatever?
Trailer Parks to the Hood. And that's when I thought I had made it because, everyone I knew was buying CDs. We were doing mixtapes. Everyone was hitting me up after I did it because, no one really knew what they were doing. And I had reached out and done some interesting things for independent artists. And we were going down different places selling CDs. And we literally moved about the first set of CDs. I think we did 5,000 CDs. I handed out probably half of them and sold half of them. So getting that first taste of money was when I thought I had made it. But, obviously anyone who puts out music,
Were y'all doing shows at this time?
Yeah, we did a few shows. That's how I met Haystack. The first time was at a show we booked him for, and then in Panama we would do a lot of shows. Set up Nashville and set up a couple of those. I know y'all just had him on. Just random spots. We started going to a place called Fireside, and they let us have Tuesday nights because no one was coming in on Tuesday nights, and they thought, okay, well, if he can make something happen here, or pretty much just to appease me because I would bug them constantly, and then we literally would have it packed out on a Tuesday night, so they started giving me weekends, and that's how I built up. We went from Fireside to Midtown to Fathom and places like that, and pretty much through our own shows, and we would have 300 plus there. People would be coming from Nashville, Huntsville, Birmingham, Atlanta. People would come up here. Pretty much anyone you think of. A lot of people that have blown up now used to come.
Yeah. So like me and Daniel, like we know you because we came up on you in like the MySpace era.
Yeah.
Like I remember the first time I ever heard of the Valley Boys, there was a little ringtone going around of that. I don't give a fuck. I don't give a damn. That ringtone was going around, and we eventually found out that was y'all on MySpace, and we reached out to y'all. Like at what point? So we know the Valley Boys.
Yeah.
How did the Valley Boys come together? What was the origination of that?
Well, okay, the show we did with Haystack, I was good friends with Jelly, and at this time, there was an underground scene of white boys in Tennessee that had not yet made it. Because you got to think this is coming up during a time when there weren't white rappers. It was pretty much Eminem, Bubba Sparks, and for people who were more in a local area, Haystack. So it was kind of odd for us. We typically ended up being the only white boys that were anywhere. But we came together because Muddy had came and said, hey, I do beats. A guy that I went to college with, Jordan Bishop, introduced us together. And they were like, hey, come over, listen to it. And I came over to Dunlap, and we recorded our first song together. And I was like, hey, man, you should rap. You're actually pretty good. And he's like, nah, he was pushing solo onto me at the time. He just wanted to record and produce. But like I told him, I was like, our quality's got to be a little bit better than this. So he went from Cakewalk over to Nwendo, which is something we hacked off of DJ Dev. But yeah, Valley Boys basically came together because Muddy was pushing solo on me. I thought that Solo was pretty good at the time, but not the best rapper. And so I was like, whatever. I didn't think anything would happen. And then when we got together, we started making music, and the rest is history from there. As far as anyone locally, they pretty much know who the Valley Boys are.
Well, I'm glad you touched on the subject of white rappers, and even in that era, like when y'all first started coming out and pushing y'all's music, what was the feedback from your peers versus strangers, or potential like people that didn't even know y'all, versus how your friends, was like pushing y'all stuff, or was it like fake pushing it, or because we got a lot of negative, lash and just talk down to a lot, like give it up, and from the friends, from people, from our peers, even in high school, that was like we thought would be supportive.
Well,
we started out getting more love from strangers than we did our own people. So how did that play with y'all?
Well, when I first started doing music, and this comes into the Valley Boys, everyone pretty much would mock me all the way up until I released my first CD. Literally everybody I knew, if I'd walk into a restaurant that was crowded, they would yell out, oh, it's the rapper. Look, it's the rapper, the wannabe rapper. Because you got to think there's such a racial divide in Chattanooga. On this side of the dam, it's, white boys that are made to think that you should hate black people. And then, you've got the other side, which is the minorities who think that we're trying to steal their culture. So pretty much every single person, every studio I went to, every time I would go somewhere, they would test me. And, you know, I just never would back down. And that's how I came up. But it was all hate until we started pushing, and pretty much they couldn't refuse to give me credit on my grind, whether you like me as a rapper or not. They couldn't deny me because I would do things they couldn't do from just simply asking and not giving up on it. So from that, we gained a lot of love. One, because, you know, John, Muddy, and myself were involved in other things. So people, you know, pretty much wouldn't diss us or, you know, go against us simply because of this. And I think the music just kind of grew on a lot of people and you know, started
I'm
getting.
glad you bring up, like, before we started talking about this, you brought up like how you needed better quality at the beginning. I think back to the Valley Boy records, even from like the Hills Have Eyes and like the first ones, the Calm Before the Storm, like that quality. And I said this to Nash, like, could still stand up to the quality of today's industry. Like, how long did it take you guys to acquire that sound? And I know Muddy was doing the recording and the engineering, and he didn't start off doing that. So how long did it take him to acquire that?
Well, see, Muddy was the type of person who hated to be told he couldn't do something, or hated to just have someone tell him he wasn't good enough at something. So when I came in, I was recording at bigger studios and stuff like that, and kind of told him he wasn't good enough because he was doing Cakewalk. I mean, you could hear everything in the background. I mean, it was poor quality. But then, like I said, we went into Nashville. I was recording a lot of stuff with Jelly. This was when we were going to DJ Dev in 2005, 2006, maybe even, 2006, 2007 is when we started going up there. And he got in the window and just mastered it. I mean, he literally would sit there all day long on that computer and pretty much figure out a better setting for us every time. And I mean, it stands up because he did a lot of things that, I mean, I would argue that's copied by a lot of people, because we had a lot of connections to big names that you wouldn't believe we had connections to because of where we're at now. But I mean, I would definitely argue that, you know, a lot of bigger engineers took some of the stuff that we were doing and pretty much try and do it even today.
Well, yeah, I'm not even gonna lie. Like, I'm super influenced by Muddy. Like, I remember one of the first times I ever went to his house and recorded with him, I kind of just like studied the computer. Like, I was like, what's he doing over here? What can I do that he's doing to make my shit sound like this? Like, but other than that, like, you have a lot of, I know you have connections because I've been around you personally. We've hung out a lot. Like, I know you've had connections with Nicki Minaj at points. You've had connections with Yellow Wolf. You've brought Yellow Wolf in. Like, what are some of your moments that stand out to you that people wouldn't even think about?
Probably when I first came up, when I was working with DJ Dirty Laundry, I pretty much was the person who did all the footwork for Gucci Man when he was first coming up. I did a whole lot of footwork. I was pretty much the only white guy, so a lot of people call me White Boy Steve, and they would say, "Hey, go to him. He'll hand out your CDs and not care." I mean, I would go anywhere and put up posters. I'd put up, hand out CDs at all black clubs, and literally be the only person there handing out stuff. And so pretty much, I'd say probably my connections with Gucci and being able to see a lot of the people like Nicki Minaj and stuff like that in person before they became famous, knowing them, and just I think we started independent videos. I think that's something that I have a lot of credit for that will probably never be given to me, because I originally helped Black Fly when they weren't Black Fly get started as a video company and started running videos. And before then, there weren't independent videos. I don't know of anyone doing independent videos prior to what we did here in Chattanooga.
And you still do that to this day. Like, you'll bring people in to spit shop, You'll bring big artists in. You'll get the features done. You'll say, hey, we got packages, videos, features. You still do all that stuff today.
Yeah.
Like, how long have you been doing that? And what was the first one? What was the first big artist you brought? I remember back in the day, you were bringing Nappy Roots in when they were big.
Yeah. Man, let's see. The first artist that I convinced that it would help them out by doing it was Lil White, which people don't want to give Lil White credit for what he's done, but you got to think he had a song that went viral before internet with Oxycontin, and pretty much anybody knows that song. So to have someone come in like that was a big deal. I pretty much had talked him into a price that's unbelievable. And we knocked out, I'd say, at least 30-something features here locally, all in 2 nights that we set up in a hotel with some mattresses and muddy setup, and had him come up. And then boom, him and Jelly both kind of started blowing up once I kind of got them together. And
was that in the Pop Another Pill era?
Yeah, so to touch on that, yeah, Nash had talked a lot about that. Nash did a whole lot of funding behind that. He definitely had his hand involved with a lot of that stuff. I'm not sure for how much, but he definitely had his hand involved. But when they came together, you could really see it helped White because Jelly was on his come up, and it helped Jelly get exposed to all of White's fans.
Yeah.
So you really seen a
connection right there
that blew up. It was humongous on the scene, really. And that, as you can see, Jelly now, he just broke a million YouTube subscribers, and out there doing it real big. And I would say a lot of that comes from that little blow up of videos he did.
What's that like to know that you were around that era, and then you just look and you see like people like Jelly Roll doing all these big things, struggle out here, fucking massive artist, and you still work with him to this day? Like, what's it like to know you were around for all that and you just saw it happen? Like you saw the magic work.
I mean, it's a incredible feeling. That's also, bittersweet, as they would call it, because I put so much focus on other artists that I never gave myself the attention that I wanted, whether I deserved it or not, as far as my talents go or what people think about me. I had always put other people first. So, in a way, I made myself bitter over the years because I thought that they should come back for me and help put me on. I got to thinking a lot about it, and it's not their place to do that. There's tons of other things that they did that made them successful, and should I have pushed myself for them? That's the question. But yeah, I mean, I guess I'd call it bittersweet. I mean, it's amazing to see what they've done. I love them. I love seeing how much success they have. It's incredible. But, a lot of times, even though, people know, I think people know how much involvement I had, but, sometimes you're just being, I don't know, maybe I'm being a crybaby about it and just want some attention that, I feel like I deserve now, but I don't know how to really explain it.
Yeah. You have anything you want to say?
Well, I noticed you said bittersweet. Rodney and I were friends way before the music stuff. And I just wonder how y'all dealt with mixing friendship with the business and, overall, like you said, like you wouldn't trade that for anything, like I'm sure you guys bonded and stuff, but like, was there ever like a line between that with friendship and?
Yeah, that it came into play a lot, and is actually probably why we're not good friends today. Because you got to think, when you're an artist, especially in hip hop, you're supposed to be cocky. You see, you're supposed to think you're the best. So I had so many people around me at the time that were incredible artists that each of them wanted to outshine the other, whether they meant to or not. And, people that I introduced into the equation ended up getting in between our friendships, and it made it more personal. So, when, hey, well, we're just not going to work with this person. Well, you got to think. I think about every single day, like, man, I wish that I would have pushed Muddy harder, and I wish that he was still around recording my music. Not that I hate anyone who records it now or anything like that, but there was just such a magic that was created when me and him would get together. And John, that I miss, and I would, trade it for anything pretty much, because like I said, I miss him. I wish that we were doing music together again, but because of our friendship and how personal you would take it, whether you should, keep that in business. Oh, this is just business. This is business. You can't keep it just business, because that's someone you love. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I love them. They're some of my best friends that I just miss them. Like I said.
I'm glad you brought that up about Muddy, and I know you listened to the podcast with Nash, and I brought this up with him too. But like, I listened back to those songs from that era, and I'm like, God damn, like Muddy had it. He had the whole package. Like he could do any song and it would just sound good. Like no matter what he did. Like if there's one thing you could think back as to why that music didn't get the recognition it deserved, was it anything that y'all didn't do? Like, are there things that you wish you could go back and be like, damn, I should have done this with that? Or,
yeah, there's a lot of stuff that play into it. I wish that we could have got our funding without being so involved with the streets, even though that sounds, stupid. I really wish that we never discovered fast money, because when you start getting into a lifestyle that is fast money as opposed to paychecks, you're getting so much money that you don't care what's going on around you. You're just having fun. And that's part of why the music was so great, because we just did what we wanted to, because we had money coming in. We were doing what we wanted to do. But, I look back, there's several times I look back and I say, hey, man, I wish. Because, so one of the situations we were in originally was me, John, and Muddy, or Solo. I shouldn't call him John. Were the Valley Boys. So Black Fly wanted to start pushing a country rap artist. Well, of course, they came to me, said, hey, can you get John? So they wanted the main focus to be Solo's hooks, because it was more country sounding. Well, we started recording, and pretty much we had to turn down a deal that they had offered to us because we couldn't get along in the studio and make the type of music we normally made, because they wanted us to be too country. And so then that's when they went and started working with Ryan Upchurch, and the rest is history. He blew up, and who knows if we would have been in the same position, if we would have followed down that path of quote unquote hip hop or country rap. That, it seems like Jelly's kind of connected to that struggle. Obviously, that's the path they took.
Upchurch is killing that game right now.
Upchurch is, he deserves it though. He puts in a lot of work. He makes that type of music perfect. Like,
yeah.
There's no one who does it better than he does.
He's literally the poster boy for that whole scene.
Yeah. So, who knows if we would have been.
But I was actually talking about that, right? But like, I had called you before this podcast, and we were talking for a minute. When we got off the phone, I was talking to Austin, and I was like, if Solo would have jumped on that, I don't think there would be an Upchurch right now. I think that scene would have already been popping. Like,
oh yeah, well, you got to think. it's a touchy area that people don't like to talk about. But like Jelly and Struggle Jelly especially were really good friends with us. And would sleep on our couches, would be here all the time, putting in work. Anytime they needed money, they would come see me and they'd say, hey, what can we do to make money? And they would always leave Chattanooga with at least $10,000 or better from features and videos or this or that, or hey, I need 5,000. Hey, I need 3,000. I would always find a way to help them get money. And I think that it's kind of funny that they downplayed what Solo did, which was white trash, hick hop, and then a year later they come out as like a hick hop.
And that's what I've always thought about that, because if you listen to Jelly Roll from like 2008, like from that era, from like Cocaine Money, like shit like that, the shit he's making music about now, two different worlds.
Yeah, completely.
Yeah, no, I mean, and first off, you have to give Jelly credit in the fact that he's always been incredible in making the full package like a persona, heck, I mean, no matter what, especially if you're a white artist, you tend to make a struggle song that other white people feel, because we feel, you feel like there's no voice for you, because you're always being told that it's your fault, that the world's this way, that you're racist, that you're this, that you're a million things wrong with you just for being who you are. You see what I'm saying? You could be out there helping with protests. You could be out there with every single person you hang around could be of a different race, and you love them, don't see anything different. But you are always the poster child for some kind of privilege or this and that. So when Jelly started making that hardcore struggle music, which Riding All Alone, I'd say was like his first big song, people attached to it, and he recognized that. And so he started veering that way. And heck, I mean, Struggle, his family, I mean, look at who his family is. So it makes sense to do that.
Yeah.
And because at the end of the day, what white boy do you know that's famous, that's made it, that's really popped off, that people look at and call a wigger, I guess, as you'd call? I mean, maybe Post Malone, maybe, or something like that. I don't know. I don't know who's made it. So you kind of have to make your own lane, or in this way, like I said, country rap, I guess. You kind of have to veer that way if you want fans, it seems like.
Yeah, like me and Daniel, we were just talking about that. We had that whole conversation. And like, I feel like one of the problems with us is that we've always made more urban type music. Like we've never conformed.
Borderline street, but with a pop sound. Definitely not that country sound.
And I was telling him, I was like, man, if we would have started out the gate doing some like struggle country shit, like we would have probably already made it. But the fact that we never wanted to, or just, I don't know, it's like we were rebellious against that idea.
Like, I don't want to say sell out. But.
Yeah, like, and I don't want to diss Jelly Roll or nothing right now, but like when we talk about that, I feel like he kind of sold out to that fan base.
Well, and again, I'm not here to defend that that's right or wrong, but like I said, I think it's incredible that you can recognize what is going to sell. And then you got to think, when I would do anything to now have been smart enough to be releasing the music, to have a lot of follow-up records and stuff like that, to like Where I'm Going, which did a lot of views, got me a lot of recognition.
What view count is that on right now?
It's probably I know it's over 2 million.
Yeah.
But, I didn't follow that up with anything. And heck, I've actually taken down a lot of my music because I want to, drop everything properly and have things heard. Because
Well, I'm glad you touched on that. Like, if you were to give advice to an artist as far as timing, like, what do you think is the perfect timing or the perfect order to do, videos, singles, albums, etc.? Like,
well, see, this is the problem with music, is that there's not an answer for that. If there was an answer, think about this. If there was an answer for how to make it and how to get fans, and then record labels would still exist. I
I'm
mean,
glad you touched on that too. Like,
they're slowly dying because there's no answer. There's always something, if you're putting in the work, constantly putting in the work, something's eventually going to happen for you that's quote unquote lucky. Just like Old Town Road, for instance. I mean, imagine if country music wouldn't have said, hey, this isn't country music. Do you think it would have gotten as big as it was? Well, no, because a lot of people found out about it because they said this was a racist thing that country music was doing to this kid. So, Billy Ray Cyrus reaches out to him. Boom. Then everyone's like, oh, I got to pay attention to this because, I want to do the right thing. Boom. And then it's a catchy song on top of it because you've heard it 10 times. You probably know it. Well, those are all circumstances that surround that you can't recreate. They will never be able to recreate that moment again. So, it's all about putting in the work. I think you should be releasing something, staying in their face constantly. And that's something that I wish I would have done, and
visuals are the main part. People want to see you more than they want to hear you.
100%. I mean, if you have a dope video concept, look at some of the videos that blow up. I mean, there's something about them that's stupid or, that people want to make fun of. That's the greatest thing to ever happen in your comment section is people fighting whether you are real or fake, whether you are a good person, a bad person, whether it's good music, bad music, oh, they're trash, oh, they're fire. People start arguing, well, heck, that's a view count.
Yeah, and in today's era with shit like Instagram and TikTok especially, if you can come up with it doesn't matter if the rest of the song's trash. If you can come up with a 15-second part of your song that's catchy, you've made it.
No, that's a formula that people have been using for years, even before TikTok. Like, there's just got to be something that someone remembers from this song that makes it worth listening to over and over again.
And I remember you told me one time, you were like, if you could make one hit record, just one massive hit record, you could live off of that one song for forever.
Yeah, because people are always arguing about, oh, I signed a label was this, signed a label was that. Well, if you're being put in front of people and you do everything right, and you continue to put out good music and constantly put or grind, even if it's not good music, heck, just put out stuff. If you're constantly doing that and in people's faces, it's going to take off, or you're going to build a fan base off of what you're doing. And you can live off that fan base for the rest of your life because they're constantly going to come and check for you. And with everyone being so ADHD, even myself, heck, I don't want to watch a show that I have to wait next week to watch or the week after that to watch. I'll listen to a CD. I'm like, oh, I love this song. Boom, 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 play it. And then next week I'm looking for another song. You see what I'm saying? It's just people have gotten into this place where they want something new every week. I would argue that, for instance, Jelly could put out a new song every week and he would get probably the same response, like, oh, I love it. And it could be almost the same song over and over again.
That's kind of what I'm seeing right now.
Hey, but that's the point. Like, fine, that's what he did. And that's what
it works. It works. Why would you change it?
Yeah, you have to recognize what people like from you. Like, obviously, where I'm going is a perfect example for Haystack. If Haystack would follow that formula of those type of songs, he could come out and everyone would love him again. But he wants to do songs that don't match with what his fan base necessarily wants to hear.
Yeah.
And that's where, you build your fan base and give the fan base what they like to hear. I guess it could be selling out, but it's a thin line, you know. Heck, you should be in it because you love it. Don't get me wrong, but at some point you start getting tired of it when you're putting your money in and not making it back.
Yeah, a lot of people don't realize this, and everything you just said is what I've stressed to Daniel. Like, there was a solid 2 years, and a lot of people don't know this, but I was with you. Like me, it was me and you for like at least 2 years. Me and you were just chilling. We were vibing. I learned so much in that 2 years from you that now, like, I used to think the way Daniel thinks, and Daniel thinks, oh, we need to just do it, put it out. I'm like, no, we got to plan something, and we got to recognize who our fan base is. Like, that's one of the main things you can do promoting or just doing music in general. You have to sit down and think, who's going to listen to me and who's going to listen to me again?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, and that's kind of why, like I said, a lot of people, I mean, I'm obviously getting older and older as it goes, which is fine for me. But, you know, you start disconnecting with youth. I mean, at the end of the day. So, like I said, I'm doing this project with Lil White. It's a perfect match for me because the people who listen to Lil White will probably latch onto my music. Same as they did Jelly, same as they've done a lot of people, same thing with Haystack. So, you know, a lot of what I've done is I put in the work to say, okay, well, who books Lil White? Okay, well, these are the cities I want to promote to. Heck, none of them are in the Southeast, really. Maybe some Florida, but, I mean, most of them are Midwest and West Coast. So it's like, hey, I want to promote out here because those are the people who are booking Lil Whites, Jelly Rolls, Ritz's, you know.
Yeah. Like, and you know this because you were there when it happened. Like, I had a song with Young Dolph.
Yeah.
Well, I sit on it. I'm like, this just isn't for me. Like, nobody that's going to listen to, if they're listening to the song, they're listening for Young Dolph, and they're not going to stick around for me. They want to hear Young Dolph, and then they're out. Like, right. You just have to think about who you want to work with, and you have to make it make sense.
Yeah, I think that's true. 100%.
You have anything you want to say to that? Because I know you were trying to say something.
Not necessarily to that, but we touched on, like you mentioned a couple of times, putting in the footwork. And earlier, Rodney mentioned, you know, MySpace days. You guys had came out like right when, like before there was a SoundCloud. You know, like I remember when there was not a term SoundCloud artist or SoundCloud rapper. Like, what are the negative and positive effects that you think the internet had on not only y'all, but, you know, local artists at that time?
Well, right off the bat, a negative effect that internet has had on music is that people don't believe in the putting in the physical work. So, you know, people still go outside. People still do things that aren't involved around the computer. It's great because anybody can upload a song and you can hear it and you can recognize it. You see what I'm saying? You can go after fans, easier pinpoint them. So that's a great thing. But, you know, you still have to put in street work, in my opinion, and be it present. You know, you need to be seen. You know, visuals are also meeting the people in person and shaking hands. I mean, that, like I said, I use Jelly as an example again because he's a good example of someone who followed pretty much everything I'm talking about and was successful with it. And, you know, he recognized where fans were. He found out where his main fan base is, and that's where he promotes. He's not promoting in places that don't want to hear his type of music. Why go to Atlanta and promote your music if you're not going to be seen or paid attention to? That's just a waste of money. So, you know, I think that the internet has killed people putting in the footwork and really connecting with their fans in a more personal level, because you got to think about it. When you meet somebody that you're a fan of, it's almost like you feel like you need to then dedicate some of your time to, he was so cool when I met him. I got to listen to his new CD even if I don't like it. Oh, I've got to put one of his songs on playlist because I met him. So, look at this picture I got with him. See, I know him. We're listening to the song together. I mean, I think that is what has been taken away a lot from the internet. And I think that if you see successful people, they have a good blend of internet and street work.
Yeah. And the era of the internet, which has kind of killed that whole scene. What are some of the actual things that we can get out here on the streets and still do to promote our music other than just uploading on SoundCloud and sharing a link?
I personally think that every artist that has a project out should have a business card with their link on it. So if I go and eat at O'Charlie's, which this is actually something that's happened to me, I used to hand out a business card with my links to my MySpace or my links to this, or hey, I got a video out. And anyone I met, I would give it to them. And from that, I gained so many fans of people who still remember me today and say, hey, I remember meeting you. So again, I think, you should have like a flyer made. They're relatively cheap. You can get like 5,000 flyers for like $180 delivered to your house, and just put them in gas stations, hand them out to a couple people every day. I mean, even if you're a lazy artist and you see 10 people new every day and hand them that flyer and talk to them about it, that's a potential one person that's going to connect to you every single day. And just imagine if you did that from the beginning till now, 365 days, a new fan every single day. Well, in 3 years, you've got enough hardcore fans to make a living off, really, if you have the ingenuity to put out the music correctly, have good price points, have stuff for them constantly to buy. I mean, heck, people are working for $15 an hour. And what does that equate out to? Like $26,000 a year, something like that, $30,000. I don't even know. Somewhere, heck, you put out 2 projects, right there you have it. You have that amount. You're making what you would make at a stupid 9-to-5 job that you're miserable at. And that's what's happened for me. I would say I have an honest, hardcore 500 fans that I would really say I have, that are hardcore enough to constantly buy, constantly stream my stuff. And I've been able to have enough money from that to feel proud about, at least. And, heck, during hard times, the money's came in handy, And like I said, I think that you can build a fan base if you're willing to dedicate little tiny things like that. Like I said, handing out 10 a day, you can expect at least one of those people to be like, okay, or look at you in awe, like, because most people don't get to meet quote unquote famous people. We live, especially in Chattanooga. I mean, who famous is here that ever comes here that you would meet? So they latch on to local celebrities. You just got to keep them.
Yeah. Well, yeah. What are some? You see, you have all these connections. You know Jelly Roll personally. You know Haystack personally. What are some funny stories behind the scenes that have happened with y'all, like that people would just get a kick out of?
I have a video, actually. I was going to post it. I may still post it. I don't know. It was Jelly and me, John, K Montana of the Gutter Squad. What are they now? King Clown and Ratchet Life. My brother, my dog. They K Montana came up with us. Big Vinny was with us. And Jelly's in the backyard. There's this rope swing over this huge hill that just goes straight down, and he gets on the rope swing. Heck, he weighs, at the time, I think he was at least 350, 400 pounds, and he's on this rope swing with one foot, and it just breaks, and he falls out. And it just, to me, was one of the funniest things ever to see. And just imagine, like I said, it's kind of odd to know you're that close to somebody. You see some of the stupid things that, you don't see on the internet, because you're trying to hide. I think, a problem is that we try and hide who we are. We try and hide things that are embarrassing or that make us human, because we think that, if they think that I don't have the money to do this, well, I'm not good enough, which in some cases can be true, but heck, everyone's human. Everyone has a lot of things that they've done stupid and funny stories. Like I said, a lot of mine involve Muddy and John and me doing things that were illegal, but something stupid would always happen during those times. And you look back, you're like, I can't believe we survived this. I can't believe we did this. I can't believe we had this many people over on drugs, all in the living room while we're recording hit records, and people are on Molly just looking at the ceiling fan with lights going around. You're like, oh my gosh, what are we even
Real
doing?
funny story you've told me is the Stop the Violence show with Gucci.
Yeah.
And what happened before that is what landed Gucci in jail. Like,
Yeah.
Tell that story, because that's just a funny ass story.
You're gonna have to remind me of which one you're talking about, because there's like 3 or 4 funny Gucci stories. If you're talking about Gucci Man, where he was when I met him and he looked like he was out of it on a whole bunch of drugs.
No, when he was on his way to the Stop the Violence show and he throws a chick out the toilet.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy stuff that you're thinking, like, we're doing a Stop the Violence show with Gucci Man, who does nothing but at the time promote violence. And literally, we had to reschedule this show 5 different times because he kept going to jail or kept doing something stupid. One time he was stuck literally at his house on drugs, just like a zombie. And so he definitely wasn't coming. We rescheduled it because he had a court date and he got booked. And then on the way up, he kicks a girl out of his car to the Stop the Violence thing. And I'm just like, this is the craziest thing I've ever heard of from somebody. Just it doesn't make sense that he's the Stop the Violence, but heck, that's what we had to name it to get the city to let us do it.
What's a moment in your time in the game that really sticks out, like it was your point of I've made it or I'm about to make it? I mean, you had the magazine covers with Ozone. I'm pretty sure there were record labels on the table a few times.
Yeah, I mean, we've had a lot of record labels hit us. I mean, like I said, I look back and wish that at times we weren't making so much money the way we were making it, because large amounts don't seem that large anymore when you're making so much in a day and spending it on who knows what. I mean, I've always felt like I was on the cusp of making it because everyone in the industry knows who I am. But it's almost like I'm ignored as an artist, which I understand more today than I do then, because I was pushing myself as a more manager role, or I was pushing myself as a promoter or a videographer, or I mean, you name it, I've sold it.
Do you ever sit back and be like, I wish I would have been more of a manager than an artist?
I mean,
to me, you're a smooth talker. You know people, you have all these connections. Like, I feel like you could have done so much. Like, and you've even said it. You're like, I put other people ahead of myself. Do you think that would have done more for you than being an artist?
That's a good question. I mean, who knows if I wouldn't have been pushing these people if I would have so many connections.
Yeah.
So that's a great way of looking at it. And that's why, like I said, it's bittersweet. And the more I look at it, the more grateful I am to be where I'm at, because everything has to happen for a reason, whether you believe it on a religious level, scientific level, no matter how you look at it, karma finds its way around. And, heck, I'm probably paying for some of the karma I put into the world now, and hopefully I'll get back out of it,
Yeah, like me and you were kind of in the same boat, because like I was with you. We were doing some things. We didn't take it where we wanted to go with it. But at the same time, I learned so much in that little bit of time. Like, I can use that forever now. So you had way more experience than I had with you, with like Muddy, Jelly, Lil White, Haystack. Like, there's things that you learn from them that you'll be able to take with you wherever you go.
Yeah. No, I mean,
that's a great way to look at it.
I The one thing I do wish is that I would have found a way to make Muddy see his potential and not be so stuck in what I call the local scene, the local fame, because that's what it kind of gets you a big head to where you think you've already made it, to where you don't go and push yourself beyond that. And I wish we would have funneled more money to him. But like I said, when you're involved in stuff, you think there's always going to be money there. I mean, at the end of the day, why did you not spend this $1,000 here? Well, because I thought I could make $1,000 tomorrow. I mean, why did you, I looked at one year, I literally probably spent at Speedway, it's going to sound like an exaggeration, but it's not. I was over $30,000.
And then rewards cards don't do shit.
Yeah, well, I love the rewards. No, that's how I kept up with it. But literally, I look back and I'm like, I spent all this money at a gas station. Like, what was I doing? Like, how did I do that? It sounds unbelievable unless you were around me and know. You're like, yeah, I mean, he was at a gas station probably 10 times.
I know for a fact on your little Charger, you put fucking 500,000 miles on that bitch going everywhere.
Yeah. So I don't know. I definitely wish that we would have found a way for Muddy and Solo to be artists. I mean, like I said, I definitely am pushing myself now, and I would love to, be remembered for all the things I've done. But, unless you're an artist, you don't get remembered for that stuff, I feel like. So, I definitely am pushing myself, trying to do some stuff for myself, to put myself in a position to, make a living off of music, and not go back to my old lifestyle. But, I find it hard every single day. But I definitely wish we would have put more money and effort into Muddy and Solo as artists, because to me, I still don't think that there's anyone who makes better hooks than they make on each scale. Like, Solo, in my opinion, makes the best country rap music that's ever been made. There's no one who's better than him, in my opinion. And with Muddy, I don't know anybody as talented as he is in all aspects of music beyond this country. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I wish we would have found a way for them, because, like I said, both of them, to me, I've never met anybody who finds those type of pockets and makes that type of music better than they do, even today.
And it's crazy how that little group just clicked.
Yeah, it was an odd little group, to say the least. But I mean, we were just having fun. Like I said, I mean, when your life is having fun, doing whatever you want to do every single day, I mean, it's hard to see the vision. And, like I said, I wish now I would have put money toward things and would have invested my money more than I did. But,
Do you ever plan on re-uploading all the old Valley Boys music to Spotify and stuff?
Yeah, so basically what I'm trying to do now, Muddy, I believe, is in jail. There's J-Rab behind me. Muddy's in jail right now, and Solo is like a big wig at a job. So he's always out of town. He's literally in town like 4 days a week. So out of those 4 days a week, he kind of hangs out with his family, so he doesn't do music. But I still want to try and get BMI set up for both of them, and pretty much funnel music money to them to where they can start getting checks, regardless if they ever want to make music again, or if they ever do make music again. But yeah, I have a lot of Valley Boy stuff. I have a whole lot of unreleased stuff, and that's why I took down the Have-Nots and a couple stuff, because I'm going to re-upload them all as like classic style throwback stuff, and I'm going to try and get some money behind putting them out, just so people can remember them. It's like more of a remembrance, and that way the BMI just sends them the money, and I don't have to worry about any arguments or And plus maybe something happens with it and they're like, okay, well, I'm making enough money off of this. Maybe I'll start doing better and doing music.
Yeah. Well, we've been going at this for like an hour and 16 minutes. Is there anything else you want to talk about or let people know?
Before we go, I mean, can we touch on the projects you're doing with Lil White? What's your plans for that?
Yeah, so I started a project with Lil White probably a year and a half, 2 years ago, and we have 7 songs recorded, and then now we have 11 songs recorded, and we're going to have everything mixed and mastered here at Spit Shop, and we're doing videos for pretty much every song. And I'm going to release all the visuals on my YouTube channel. He's going to upload all the songs with like the lyric videos on his channel. And pretty much we're going to try and push it. October 2nd is when it's going to drop. It's called Croptober. And we'll have a bunch of merchandise and stuff like that. And that's going to be the first little thing to try and restart my career and kind of.
Do you have any other big features in the work besides Lil White?
I mean, Jelly's on the project. I started a project with Haystack that we're recording now. I'm trying to think. There's a kid named Baby Youngin that we might be doing a song with. Me and another artist we're looking into it, and it's someone he's interested in, and he's kind of blowing up now. So we'll have him on a song, but that'll probably be dropping like January, February.
Who are some of your favorite local artists right now from chat?
Well, it's hard for me to say like anyone's better than the people I used to hang out with, like Big Benny, T. Riser, Young Gray.
I'm talking about up and coming chat local artists. Right
I would say my favorite one, he's already made it though. It's Slat
Z or whatever.
ZY, yeah. I don't know how he pronounces that, but I love his music. Who else do I listen to locally? I mean, I pay attention to a lot of people locally. Like Blue Rollin', King Clown, D Block, J Mac, Tez D, Tom Paisley. If I was to name, definitely I'd go with Tom Paisley. Probably makes the best music that I've heard from the city, if you're asking me. But I'm trying to think. Those are the people I listen to the most as far as local artists go. And then obviously Twist, T. Riser. When he's working on something, I tend to pay attention to that. And Young P, I like to.
Me and Daniel always bring up Twist because we feel like he was just, ever since I've first heard of Twist, he's just been super hard.
Yeah.
He's another artist that I wish that we could figure out how to work. I mean, a lot of stuff is my fault too, and I take responsibility for that. But if you want to listen to what someone wants you to do, and you only halfway do what they say, you can't. You see what I'm saying? You can't say that you listen to what they said. And I think that Twist is someone who is probably one of the most talented people you can get around, because it's like boom. I'm like, how do you have this many hooks in your head? How do you have this many songs already ready to go? I wish that we could have, when he had his money going real hardcore and really trying to push himself, I wish that I could have helped him manage that, and he would have listened to me 100% instead of 10%. You see what I'm saying? Like, you should have done this or that, And
yeah.
Obviously, I'm not in a position to say it would have worked or not worked, but who knows? He is super talented, and I wish that someone would be like, oh, boom, here's $100,000, go do something.
Yeah. What's your favorite album from the Valley Boy era?
That's a hard one. I mean, I guess probably our first project's my favorite project just because there's just so many memories attached to it and stuff like that. I would say the project that would have done the best was probably Hero.
First one.
The first one, that's probably the best one he did.
Do you have any copies of that left? Because I want to hear it again.
Yeah, I have copies of all of his music.
Well, you need to give me one.
All right,
And I know you ain't going to because I've seen them physically, and you still wouldn't give me one.
I'll get you one. Yeah, I mean, I only have so many physically that I keep just because it's a keepsake. Yeah, I mean, I will. I promise you, I will get some music to you. But no, I'm gonna upload it though. I'm planning on uploading it and just sending everything straight to his BMI. Like I said.
Yeah, that'd be dope. But I mean, we've been on here. Is there any last questions you want to ask?
Nah, that's about it.
Is there anything else you want to get off your chest?
No, I'm
Instigator.
No,
What's J-Rad doing back? Are y'all back there playing with each other or something?
I don't know what J-Rad's back there.
He's back there naked as hell.
He did. You see him sneak his spit shop shirt in the last 5 minutes. Oh, let me get this one. It's for everyone so they can see it says spit shop.
Oh, geez.
Yeah. He doesn't realize you can't read that, but not J-Rad's someone who's gotten a whole lot better with time. I've been recording with him just because,
Yeah, people definitely need to give Spit Shop a look. I mean, just look behind. Like, are you on a webcam right now or anything? Like,
I can't look at it because of
because that booth back there is super fucking. I remember when it was in the modeling, and J-Rad, we're talking about you right now.
I'm aware of
But yeah, that fucking booth came a long way.
Hours. You think we're super artists, and I know when you're talking about me.
No, but I was talking about that booth back there, and people need to give Spit Shop a look because that shit's came a long way.
Yeah, man. I heard you mention. I heard you mention Spit Shop earlier.
suspension.
It's Sunday, dude. I'm relaxing. I work hard. Thank you for earlier. You mentioned Spit Shop, man. I noticed it and I appreciate it. And I'm behind. I'm behind Instigator, man. I mean, obviously, So
Literally too.
yeah. Facts, man. How are you, man? You doing
good?
Same thing I just asked you.
He's drunk.
You asked me how I was doing, and I said good, and I said, how are you doing? How are you doing?
I know, man. I'm good. We're watching it outside. Everybody's watching.
Hey, Rat, since you're here, what are you working on right now? What's going on with you?
Number one priority is Hot as Cold, man. We got a new album coming out. We got a new single coming out as well. Waking Up, coming out with James. Ben Green shot it. It's gonna be a really good video.
Ben Green, because his videos are fucking dope.
Man, he's good. And shout out Ben Green, man. He's treated us really good. Truly.
Steve, what videographers are you working with right now? I know you've got people in Nashville, Vegas, everywhere.
Well, right now I'm working with P on a lot of stuff. He's gotten a whole lot better on his stuff. He went from your shoot in front of a car type videos to doing some amazing stuff. So we're working with him. Going to see what he could do. He's pretty much doing all the videos for Lil White project actually. So
you working with Who Shot Jimmy? I've
never personally worked with him. I've talked back and forth with him, but me and P have some stuff worked out. That just makes more sense for me right now.
Yeah. Well, we've been going for an hour and 25 minutes now. We're going to go ahead and get off here. Daniel, no last words. Steve, no last words. Good podcast, boys.
Yeah.
We're out of here.
Radio check. Let's do it, baby. Let's do it.
You're now tuned in.
Let's go.
To Convo-19.
Turn it up.
With Keith Austin and Georgie Sippin' 40.